My name is Ryan Hulst. I am the founder and an attorney at Grand Traverse Elder Law. We focus on elder law, so we do estate planning as well as Medicaid pre-planning and crisis planning, as well as a little bit of guardianship and conservatorship work. The firm was founded in February of 2024. Started out, it was just myself operating from a home office. And then in October of 2024, expanded and got a legal assistant as well as a physical location. And since that time, I've hired 2 additional assistants and 1 other attorney. And the legal assistants, I just have the one that's local here, and then I have 2 legal assistants that I hired through RemoteLegalStaff. I've been practicing since 2016. And have enjoyed a lot of growth. Some specific pain points that I was experiencing before bringing on RemoteLegalStaff were just finding people who were qualified in the local area. There are many challenges to hiring in northern Michigan. It's a smaller area, so the pool of employees and the competition among employers to bring qualified, hardworking individuals on is very high. I didn't necessarily need anybody to show up to an office, and frankly, I didn't want to have to get the additional office space to accommodate another in-person employee. So since it didn't matter if I didn't really want them showing up at the office, it didn't matter to me where they were located, so long as they could do the job. I've been fortunate enough to bring on 2 legal staff through RemoteLegalStaff, and they're both legal assistants. They've been doing a terrific job. I've had one since April of 2025, and then she has done a great job. She's really picked up on things. And then most recently in September of 2025, again, the amount of work that I had, it was overwhelming. I don't want to work 20 hours a day, so there were plenty of tasks that I'm able to hand off to another legal assistant, and very happy with the results I've been getting. I explored various options for bringing on additional staff prior to hiring RemoteLegalStaff employees. Local hire, I thought about it, and then I thought about all the work that I would have to do to advertise for that. And I just know how competitive the employee market is here, bringing on competent and hardworking individuals. So since I knew that I didn't need anybody locally, I was very open to hiring somebody remote. I listened to some legal podcasts that talked about various administrative assistants that you could hire online, but it seemed like they were more focused on just general administrative tasks. I knew that I wanted somebody who could handle the legal tasks just like a legal assistant locally would do. And it was a little bit of research online, trying to figure out what agencies are out there. I found RemoteLegalStaff, looked at some of the testimonials on there. It seemed like people were having great results. So in the end, decided to explore RemoteLegalStaff, do the initial call with them, find out more information about the type of stuff that they're able to do, and I've been very pleased with the results since that time. RemoteLegalStaff stood out to me because all the people who are being presented to me as potential employees have legal experience. Some of the other general agencies, you might be getting somebody who's intelligent but doesn't have any specific legal experience. It can be an uphill challenge in general bringing on a new employee, and then if you add to that them not having any legal experience, I didn't really want to bring somebody on who I would be starting at ground zero with. So that's why I determined that the best thing to do would be to go with somebody who's pre-screened. An additional concern that I had was confidentiality, and I feel the types of matters that I'm handling and the documents that I'm handling, it's very important that that information is protected and that whoever I'm bringing on board is somebody who can be trusted with that information. And RemoteLegalStaff, I feel confident that they're doing the screening to make sure we're not bringing on people who might, abuse the fact that they have access to very sensitive information. The staff that RemoteLegalStaff brought to me to interview were very impressive. I ended up hiring one individual from Costa Rica, and she's actually an attorney there. So she had legal experience. She had been working with another attorney down there before coming on board as an assistant for me. And then the other assistant that I recently hired with a RemoteLegalStaff has been in the legal field for over a decade. So she's bringing a great deal of experience. One of the things that had attracted me to her was the fact that she was an assistant in South Africa, and she was an assistant for 3 attorneys. And if you can handle 3, then I want you, because that's a big challenge. The interview process was very streamlined for me with RemoteLegalStaff. It's nice because you have somebody from RemoteLegalStaff there, and they're doing the initial questions for the employee. It's like having somebody with HR there helping with the interview process. And then after the initial questions were done, then I was given the opportunity to talk with the candidates and ask them my own questions. After I got done interviewing each of the candidates, RemoteLegalStaff stayed on the call with me, and we discussed the strengths and weaknesses of the candidates, compared the candidates, and in the end, presented it to me to make the final decision about who to bring on board. The time and effort involved in training the new employees that I brought on through RemoteLegalStaff, it was very acceptable in my mind. Anytime you're bringing on a new employee, there's going to be a learning curve with that. It's nice having RemoteLegalStaff provide people who do have some legal experience. Both the employees that I brought on, they didn't have direct experience in the area that I'm practicing in, and obviously they didn't have direct experience in the jurisdiction. So there has been a learning curve, but it's gotten easier. So the first time that we brought on an employee, it was a learning curve for us. But that employee, they made their own employee binder, and since we brought on this second one, I've been able to use my first RemoteLegalStaff employee to start to train my second one. The RemoteLegalStaff employee also created an employee binder, so that made it much easier as we bring this second legal assistant on board. If a fellow attorney told me that they didn't have time to train up a staff member, I'd probably tell them first, you don't have time to not train up a staff member, because a little bit of investment up front is going to save you time in the long run. RemoteLegalStaff provided somebody who already has experience in the legal field to me, so the time to train that person, it's not as extensive as if you're starting at ground zero. And the RemoteLegalStaff employees that I've had have done a great job of working independently, and I have additional confidence that they're actually working during the working hours, because RemoteLegalStaff monitors them to make sure that they're getting things done. I also get updates at the end of each day, and at the beginning of each day, they give me an idea of the tasks that they'll be working on. And then at the end of each week, we get a recap. But the amount of time to train somebody, it's paid off very significantly for me in a relatively short period of time. If a local lawyer told me that they were concerned about not hiring local staff, I would tell them it's the 21st century and you really need to be looking outside of your local area for a pool of talent. I know in Northern Michigan, it can be a challenge to hire talent just because we have a relatively small pool of people. Also, the cost of having somebody who's remote through RemoteLegalStaff is significantly less than what the cost would be to hire a local employee. I don't think that the level of quality that I'm getting from these individuals is any lower, and most likely is higher than some of the talent pool that I would have available to me here. So both from a talent perspective as well as from a financial perspective, I think it's a no-brainer to hire at least some remote staff, and RemoteLegalStaff hiring in other countries. It's really a money-saving thing for me in addition to just bringing on quality employees. I've been able to hand off a lot of tasks to my RemoteLegalStaff. We use a case management system, MyCase, and the RemoteLegalStaff employees have been able to pick up on that system very quickly. I'm able to assign tasks to them with that system, give them deadlines for it, and just get them moving. So the biggest thing that I have used remote legal staff employees for is with the document gathering. And document gathering for Medicaid is pretty extensive. We have a huge list of documents that we need to produce. We need to stay in regular contact with our clients or clients' family members to get those documents. And it just would be a ridiculous amount of time that I would have to spend doing tasks that really don't require me to do them. So the remote legal staff employees, they're starting out at the beginning. I'm giving them a task. Hey, I just met with a client and we're going to bring them on board, generate the engagement letter, get that sent to the client for the client's electronic signature, request payment from the client, and then get a list of documents out to the client, start gathering those. The only difference is that some of my clients have to bring documents in person, especially being older individuals. So remote legal staff employee can't do that part, but that's why I have my local employee here to be the face-to-face interaction with the clients. Now, some clients show up at the office and they're surprised that they're not going to be able to meet their remote legal staff employee because they have no idea. The remote legal staff employees that I have brought on are able to effectively communicate via email and telephone calls with everybody here. And again, everybody's kind of surprised when they learn that they're not going to be able to meet the people who they've been working with, in some cases, for a couple months. I feel very confident with regard to data security and confidentiality with my remote legal staff employees. I think that was one of the main reasons why I went with remote legal staff for the hiring, was that I didn't feel confident that some of the more general assistants that you could hire out there, that there'd be proper screening for them. Now, in terms on my end, what I'm doing to ensure data security is using MyCase management system, which creates a secure way for my remote legal staff to access information. They're on their own computer in their own house. I observed what is going on in the background. Nothing looks like it's being done out in the open. It looks like it's in a closed off area. And just the working with the remote legal staff employees has made me feel confident that I'm dealing with good people who care and are happy to be doing the job that they're doing. Remote legal staff, it kind of serves as a miniature HR department. A lot of times we can really get busy as attorneys and not focus on evaluating the performance of our employees. But remote legal staff has check-ins with you and does video calls to check on progress. They also send out surveys. So you take the time to reflect about how the employee is performing. It's not always easy to give exact metrics for things, but I have seen improvements in both of the remote legal staff employees from the beginning and just picking up at a pace that I would deem very acceptable and probably just as good as somebody who would be a local hire. Working with remote legal staff has been a very cost-effective way for me to do business. Allows me to keep my prices down, be more competitive than some of the other attorneys in the area who are only using local legal staff. I would say that my remote legal staff employees probably cost about half of what I would be paying for a local hire. And then of course I would have to have additional space to have that person working here. I also don't need to worry about tech issues, so I'm just paying for the software that they use. And yeah, I think it's a huge money savings thing. I think it's a no-brainer from a return on investment perspective. Communication with remote legal staff has been great. From the beginning, I reach out to them and they provide me with updates on the progress and finding initial candidates for coordinating interviews. They say, okay, we want to move forward with interviews. I shoot off the times and they do the coordination to make sure that the remote legal staff candidates are available for me. They send me the calendar invite and then I just show up and do it. didn't involve much coordination at all on my part. And if I were looking at a local hire, I know that I would be the one reviewing resumes, coordinating times for people to come in, and that's just not something that I have time to do. So I very much appreciated the communication. And when I knew that I needed to bring on a second person, I just hit reply to one of the emails that I had with RemoteLegalStaff and said, hey, I need another person. I'm growing. They again got a list of candidates together for me, and it was, a matter of a week or so before I made the decision about who I was going to hire. So I'm very pleased with the communication that I've been getting from RemoteLegalStaff. I've been able to dedicate more time to attorney tasks and to growing the business. Before I had these remote employees on board, I was doing a lot of tasks that I shouldn't have been doing. I was doing communication, trying to get bank statements and investment account statements and life insurance policies from clients, things that I didn't need to be doing. And now that I have that time freed up, I'm able to focus more on marketing the business and making sure that the clients that I have feel like they are able to take the time to have conversations with me rather than me having to just be saying, hey, where's this bank statement? Where's this life insurance policy? So it's just really freed up my time to focus on growing the business and focus more on just having quality interactions with clients. The return on investment that I've gotten from RemoteLegalStaff has been great. I would say within a month, I'm starting to get a positive return on investment. There's a learning curve at the beginning, so it's not immediate, but just beyond anything else that I could see. If I were having a local person do it, then it would just be a longer time return on investment. And once I was getting that return, I don't think that return on investment would be as high as I'm able to see with RemoteLegalStaff, just because the cost of the employee is so much less, and really they're contributing at the same level that somebody would be doing locally. If you're on the fence about hiring somebody remotely, and specifically on the fence about hiring somebody through RemoteLegalStaff, I would say you gotta do it. I can't imagine growing the business to the extent that I have without having the additional help. I was feeling completely overwhelmed. My local legal assistant, there were too much to do in too few hours in the day. My weekends were occupied, and it's really freed me up to have a better work-life balance and to continue to grow my business. My biggest apprehension was probably just about data security. I didn't feel great about the idea of letting somebody in a foreign country have access to sensitive client information, but having the backing of RemoteLegalStaff doing the screening as well as monitoring of employees makes me feel a lot more confident that I'm not going to have any data or security issues. I highly recommend anybody who's considering using RemoteLegalStaff to move forward with it. The return on investment has been great. The employees that I've hired through RemoteLegalStaff are happy to be at work, and they're always working diligently. They provide support in a way that doesn't involve me having to micromanage them, because they're bringing their own legal experience and professional experience to the table. I really appreciate that RemoteLegalStaff is going to be there going forward for me, allowing me to hire the correct individuals to perform tasks as they're needed. I know that they provide some other support, which I might eventually need to take advantage of, but I plan to continue to use them, and as I grow, first place I'll look is RemoteLegalStaff if the role that I'm looking to fulfill can be done remotely. There's not really anything additional that I think that I would be expecting from RemoteLegalStaff. I appreciate everything that I've been able to do because of them, and yeah, no really additional feedback. RemoteLegalStaff has been a great thing for my business. I would highly recommend anybody do it and utilize RemoteLegalStaff for their hiring needs, so long as the job that needs to be done can be done remotely. The ease of bringing somebody on, the ease of training somebody who already has some legal experience, legal background, and then the very quick return on investment of that. I plan to continue to use RemoteLegalStaff as my business grows, and I would highly recommend that anybody who needs additional assistance contact RemoteLegalStaff and have them put together some candidates for you to interview, and I think you'd be pleased and you'll likely end up picking somebody out of the group.